we marched from Shaw University, turned on to Fayetteville Street, just after Martin Street, we passed what used to be segregated Woolworth store. Woolworth, 50 years ago, was segregated at its lunch counters. And 50 years ago, there were enough of us who had had enough of segregation and second-class citizenship that we were willing to march much like we did today and to picket, to hold signs about the unfairness of segregation, that Woolworth was willing to sell us shoes and willing to sell us material and willing to sell us notions.
Okay,
but the lunch counter was just for white folks.
Okay.
Because we were willing to march, much like we are marching today, the segregation laws were toppled.
All right.
There are people in this audience who picketed, who marched. Those who marched, raise your signs. Raise your signs. These are people who for over 50 years have been marching for justice. And we discovered that when God's people get together and walk together and stand up together, that things will change. This coming April 16th, 14th through 19th at Shaw University, the 50th anniversary of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee will reconvene to commemorate and to celebrate and to pass the torch to young soldiers who need to know that if you walk together, children, and not get weary, there's a great camp meeting in the Promised Land. I hope that many of you will join President Barber and others of the NAACP as we walk down Fayetteville Street again to that place called Woolworth to commemorate and to demonstrate that we recognize that that tool that was good in 1960 is still good now. But that walk did not start in 1960. Your march today did not start in 2010. It is an old tradition. Moses walked and changes came. Abraham walked and changes came. Deborah walked and changes came. David the king walked and changes came. Isaiah marched and changes came. Esther walked and changes came. All through the years, it has been proven that when people get enough up to here and hit the streets and let the people know that it's time for change, change will come. Martin knew this. Douglas knew this. Down the years, Rosa Parks knew this, and President Barber knows this, that people who are still will stay unserved still. But folks who get tired of being under the gun and stand up together, walk together, pray together, pay together. The walls of segregation came down, even though there are those who now want to build them back up. But we must collectively say, no more segregation, no more segregation, no more turning back the clock, no more having inequality. We will walk together until change comes. We believe that if we get behind our leader and walk together, stay together, that the walls of inequality, the walls of disproportionality will come down, and we will have a great day as we sing together, glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
¿Qué queremos? Justicia. ¿Qué queremos? Justicia. ¿Cuándo? Ahora. ¿Cuándo? Ahora. Arriba los campesinos.
And then in the midst of this, David, Reverend Forbes, we got
this old group pushing mess. Conservative business owners like Art Pope and Bob Luddy, using their money and national right-wing connections to fund and guide and take over the Wake County School Board. The same type of groups of rich white right-wingers have poisoned the healthcare debate by spending millions on lobbying and deceptive advertisement by insurance and drug industry. Then we got the Supreme Court in a recent decision, 5-4, making a mess worse. 5 right-wing ideologues stole our personhood, gave personhood to corporations so they can spend even more money on who wins and loses his election. The 5-4 majority expanded the rights of the wealthy at the expense of the right of the common people. This is nothing more than a modern version of defining slaves as 3/5 of a person, to let the rich white owners stuff the ballot box with the slaves' bodies. Corporate money pollutes our politics, and it's time to get the money changers out of the temple and get grassroots folk into government. We need a place in our public policy among our elected leaders where there ain't smiling faces lying to the racists. We have to address these wrongs. We have to say resegregation of our schools is the enemy of excellence, creates private schools with public dollars. We have to say disparities in joblessness and economic investment is wrong. And then if we try to move our economic house by moving the roof of the house, the tops, the CEOs, then the house will tear apart. You can't move a house by moving the roof. If you're gonna move a house, you got to move the bottom. You got to lift up the poor people and lift up the young people and lift up the underemployed. And when you lift from the bottom, then the whole house will stay together. Oh my. We got to give change a chance. There comes a time you got to stand for justice. And this is the right time. Too many children's dreams are dying. And too many people are jobless. And we must raise our voices. We must raise our voices like never before. We must agitate, we must litigate, and we must legislate with one goal in mind: justice for all. Justice for all. If anybody wonders what the People's Assembly and HKonJ wants, Livonia, we simply want North Carolina and America to do what is right. That's all we want. Treat people right. The right time for right is right now. Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
No peace.